You know the moment. Everything feels good. You're talking consistently. You're opening up. You're making plans. And then something shifts. They reply slower. They seem distant. They get busy. And eventually, they disappear. No fight, no closure, no explanation, just absence. And here's what most people get wrong. It's not always about losing interest. It's often about activation. When relationships stay casual, they're low risk. No expectations, no deep exposure, no future talk. But the moment things get serious, the nervous system gets involved. And seriousness doesn't just mean commitment. It means vulnerability. And vulnerability activates attachment. Psychologist John Bowlby described attachment as the system that regulates closeness and safety. When someone gets emotionally close, your attachment system turns on. And if your attachment history includes unpredictability, inconsistency, or emotional overwhelm, closeness doesn't feel warm. It feels threatening. Here's the first mechanism.
Intimacy triggers memory. Not conscious memory, emotional memory. When someone starts depending on you, or when you start depending on them, your nervous system scans for past experiences. Was closeness safe before? Did vulnerability lead to rejection? Did commitment end in loss? If the answer was painful, your body reacts before your mind does. You don't think, "I'm afraid of attachment." You feel restless, trapped, irritated, suddenly unsure. And you interpret that discomfort as, "Something's wrong with this relationship." But often, what's wrong isn't the person, it's the activation. Here's the second mechanism. Loss of escape routes. Casual relationships feel spacious. Serious relationships feel binding. Even healthy commitment removes optionality. And modern culture is deeply attached to optionality. Dating apps show infinite alternatives. Social media shows better versions of everything. Independence is glorified. So when seriousness appears, the brain experiences it as narrowing, not deepening. Narrowing. And narrowing triggers fear of missing out.
This is why some people disappear right after, defining the relationship, meeting families, future planning, deep emotional disclosure. Because those moments remove the fantasy of infinite choice, and some nervous systems panic when doors close. Here's the third mechanism. Identity threat. When you enter a serious relationship, you don't just gain connection, you lose a version of yourself. The independent one, the unattached one, the one who could leave any time. For people who built their identity around autonomy, closeness feels like erosion, not support. So instead of negotiating that fear, they withdraw, because distance restores identity. Now let's talk about modern acceleration. Relationships move fast now. You can talk daily, share trauma quickly, know someone deeply within weeks. But attachment wasn't designed for speed. It was designed for gradual trust. So when intensity builds faster than safety, the nervous system hits overload. And overload looks like avoidance. Psychologists call this deactivation strategies in avoidant attachment patterns. When closeness increases, the person unconsciously reduces emotional availability. They focus on flaws, find excuses, work more, become less expressive, convince themselves it's not right. Not because they don't care, because caring feels destabilizing. Here's the contradiction. People who disappear when things get serious often want love deeply, but they fear dependency more. And dependency feels dangerous when past closeness ended painfully. So they choose control, and control feels like distance.
Now, let's connect this to modern overstimulation. In a world where attention is fragmented, communication is constant, expectations are high, serious relationships require sustained presence, and sustained presence is rare. So when someone senses this is going to require emotional work, they retreat to environments that feel easier: work, distraction, casual dating, digital spaces. Because digital spaces don't demand emotional accountability. Here's the deeper paradox. Disappearing protects you from short-term anxiety, but it increases long-term loneliness. And loneliness doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it just feels quiet, like something is missing. Now, let's be fair. Not every disappearance is attachment trauma. Sometimes people realize incompatibility. Sometimes timing is wrong. Sometimes they truly lose interest. But the pattern of disappearing specifically when things deepen, that's rarely random. That's activation.
Here's the cost people don't see. Every time someone exits when things get serious, they reinforce a belief. Closeness equals danger. And beliefs strengthen through repetition. So the next relationship triggers earlier, and the one after that even faster, until seriousness itself becomes the red flag. And here's what makes this especially hard now. Modern dating culture normalizes disappearance. Ghosting isn't shocking. It's common. So avoidance gets socially reinforced, and reinforcement makes patterns feel justified. So what's the real psychology here? People don't disappear because relationships are bad. They disappear because intimacy activates parts of them they don't know how to regulate. Seriousness removes fantasy. It introduces accountability, and accountability feels heavy when your nervous system equates closeness with loss. The goal isn't forcing commitment, it's increasing tolerance. Tolerance for uncertainty, dependency, being seen, not knowing the outcome. Because love isn't risky because it fails, it's risky because it matters. And for some nervous systems, mattering feels overwhelming. So ask yourself this: when things get serious, do you feel excited or do you feel trapped? Because that difference tells you more than any compatibility checklist ever will. If this made something click for you, subscribe.